spirit wants me to follow it. Chapter 24. "No!" I scream, charging forward from doors into what seems like a stadium of some sort. Arms enclose around me as Bronin uses his body weight to bring me down. Hitting the ground together, we stop abruptly against a stone wall. The wind is knocked from my lungs. Unable to speak, I look at Bronin. He seems shocked at his own actions. Using his body to hold me down, he bends closer to my ear. "What are you doing? They will kill us if we charge in on them." Anger rips me up from inside. I want to kick Bronin off me, but I can't. The chanting is louder than before. Dorian screams again. They are torturing him. "Get off me," I say through clenched teeth. Bronin loses his grip and backs away, his eyes wrought with fear. Pulling myself up, I peer over the top of the wall, just enough to conceal myself, and wish I never did. 6 figures dressed in blood-red robes and golden masks surround my son. Dorian lies on his back, struggling against the ropes, holding him down. A robed figure for each appendage. They pull hard on his arms and legs, stretching him across a stone table like a butcher purging his meat of blood. Across his chest, a 5th figure uses white-gloved hands to keep Dorian from further resistance. The 6th moves away from one of Dorian's hand, leaving it bloody and twitching, and proceeds to the next carrying a hammer and a fistful of iron spikes. "Please, don't," begs Dorian. I see his head moving side to side, his golden hair matted down from sweat or blood. The figure continues, ignoring him. What is this? Red robes? White gloves? Golden masks bearing the image of tragic smiles? Curved stag horns protruding from the crests? There is a sharp pain in my side, and my body suddenly goes weak. Slumping against the wall is all I can do to keep myself standing. I look down at the blood, so much of it, knife stuck in my side. A vial and its handle slowly begins filling with blood. Bronin stares at me, pushing the knife further in. "Blood of the Father," he says. A look of terror mixed with excitement is written on his face. I want to speak, but I can't. Something paralyzes my speech. He is my friend, servant of God. I turn my head to see Dorian. A spike is driven through his other hand. The sound of iron on stone is deafening. Dorian screams, "My son, my poor son." My mind is going numb. 7 carnal risi. I look at Bronin. All emotion is gone. "I know what you are thinking," he says calmly. "Why am I doing this?" He grabs a hold of my face. The scent of blood is in the air. My blood. Simple, really. To ensure the freshest blood is delivered right to us. Blood from the one who killed the Glycian. Fused with the blood of your son, he will make the perfect vessel for our Lord's return. The contraption continues to drain blood from me. My knees waver as I lean my weight onto Bronin, the weakness almost overcoming me. Forgive me, Tenor, but life eternal in this world is far more obtainable. The sleeve of his robe reveals a tattoo on his wrist, an X with a line through the center. You are right. God has forsaken everyone. I hear the driving of another nail, the crunching of bone, Dorian's cry for mercy. The Cardinal Risi won't give him mercy, says Bronin. They will bleed just enough blood from his body. It is hard for me to breathe. The knife wound is just below my bottom rib. Now watch what we do to your son. Bronin grabs me by the elbows and lifts me onto the wall to further support my body. Removing the vial from the knife, he holds it up to the light, admiring it like a prized jewel. Blood of the father, he says, smiling. A bolt bursts out the backside of Bronin's hand, sending the vial soaring through the air. Screaming, he grabs his hand as I watch the tiny glass bottle bounce off a rock and shatter across the floor. "You bastard!" yells Bronin, clutching his bloody hand. I watch him turn toward the darkness behind us, teeth clenched. Growling and screaming, another bolt flies at him, but he drops to the floor, rolling toward the stairs. With one quick movement, he is back on his feet, fleeing down the stairs. Left alone, I watch my life's blood dripping onto the floor. Somehow I clutch the dagger and begin to retract it. I feel the edge of it catching the side of my rib. The pain is unbearable. I can't pull it out all the way. I lean on the wall, sliding to the floor, my back against stone, my vision wavering in and out, struggling with the knife. There is something moving toward me. A figure? A monster? What does it matter? Death will come soon. There is pressure at my side. In one swift motion, the knife is pulled from my body. There is a clatter of metal on the floor. Bandages are shoved into my wound, turning them red. And then comes a voice I thought I would never hear again. "You seem to be in a sad state of affairs, Lord Wolfgang." "Kronklik," I managed to say. "Yes, it's me, in the flesh." "How did you... You're here." "Course I am. Can't have you dying on me, not yet." Am I delirious, hearing Kronklik's voice, envisioning him before me? He seems real enough. Thoughts about the carriage come crashing, and Manson rush to me. "How did you..." "Now's not the time," he says, helping me sit up. "We have to save your son. Here, chew this." He puts something in my mouth, and it begins tingling my tongue. The cold juices race down my throat. Loading a bolt onto the crossbow, I notice Kronklik's recent handiwork. He fashioned his cane to the foregrip and barrel as an easier way to retract the blade. Top hat gone, his gray suit is still moderately intact, but torn in places with a large gash across his back, exposing the white linen underneath. "Here they come," he says, spinning around and firing a shot. Energy is returning to me. Whatever Kronklik gave me is reacting fast. It runs through my body, bringing life back to my joints and muscles. Blood surges through my veins, invigorating me with new hope. I roll to my side and see Kronklik running down the stairs toward Dorian and the Cardinal Risi. He won't survive without my help. With newfound strength, I collect myself from the ground and stagger down the stairs. My heart is racing. "Dorian!" I shout, taking 2 steps for every one of Kronklik's. There is no response from him. His hands and feet bound and nailed. He has been crucified to the slab. "Kronklik!" I shout, and he immediately crouches to one knee, loading his crossbow. The Bwaka leaves my hand with furious speed over Kronklik's head, straight toward our assailants. The Cardinal Risi spread like frenzied ants, their vampire speed convoluting their positions, making it impossible to hit any target. Leaping over Kronklik's head, I land rolling onto the floor, catching the return trip of the Bwaka. Just when the Cardinal Risi appears next to me, it vanishes instantly as Kronklik's bolt passes by. Giant burning urns light the entire area of the ritual floor. Against the far wall, large stone pillars support the upper portions of the mausoleum. It is there I see Dorian sprawled across the stone slab, blood seeping from his body. Bronin is somewhere near, but I've lost sight of him. The bastard. One of the Cardinal Risi suddenly stops next to an urn, his golden mask glinting in the firelight. "Bronin, where is his blood?" it shouts from under its hideous mask. "You promised us his blood!" "It's there in front of you," he says, pointing at me from behind one of the pillars. I cannot see what he is doing. "You're pathetic," says the Cardinal Risi as it comes for me, dagger in hand, faster than I can anticipate. All I can do is deflect its assault as it slashes and stabs at me, the whole while the mask never moving from its locked position. Such strength, such precision, they must come from a strong lineage of vampires. Spinning my bawaka as fast as I can, I move it across my body like a shield as the Cardinal Risi drives its dagger at my chest. Caught in a whirlwind fury, the dagger flies from its hand. The ringing sound of metal on metal lingers until the dagger bangs and clatters along the floor. I lash out, slicing forward, but the Cardinal Risi is too fast. It leaps into the air over my head and is gone from my sight. From the corner of my eye, I see Kronklik firing a bolt at a different Cardinal Risi, but it simply ricochets off one of the urns. "Behind you!" warns Kronklik. I feel the air move over my head as I duck from an attack. Instantly I am tackled in the gut, the cold mask of the Cardinal Risi pushing hard into my side, right over the wound where Bronin stabbed me. The Cardinal Risi and I go down, rolling over one another, knocking into a fire urn, spilling its contents of boiling oil all over the floor. The heat is unbearable against the scars on my face, reminding me again of what I've been through these past few days. Struggling with each other's arms, the Cardinal Risi stares at me through the hollow eyes of the mask, attempting to pin my head to the ground. His eyes level with the oil and watch it slowly spread its way toward me. I take a deep breath and push against the vampire, but its strength is far superior to mine. I try one more approach, changing the pressure of one arm to the next, forcing its hand down in the burning liquid. The reaction is instant. Burning through the white glove, the Cardinal Risi screeches as it flings itself off me. I roll away before the oil burns me, too. Kronklik is fighting one of them near a pillar. Slashing at Kronklik with its long nails, the Cardinal Risi is unable to rip him open due to the barrier. I throw the bawaka at him, but the bastard tucks forward, dodging my attack with ease. The return trip is anticipated, and as he continues to flail at Kronklik, the blade hits the side of the golden mask, cracking the bottom portion of the mouth, exposing the yellow fangs of a vampire underneath. Kronklik leaps back, twirls his unloaded crossbow like a baton, and retracts his cane sword from underside of the barrel, slashing through the robes of his assailant. Red cloth scatters as the two of them keep at it. Something runs into the back of me, and I am sent sprawling forward into the arms of two Cardinal Risi, their nails digging into my flesh through their white gloves, held up like a prisoner. One of the three Cardinal Risi comes faster than I can react, and drives its hand into the wound in my side. My vision blacks out suddenly from the pain, and I slump in their arms. There are strikes to my chest where the proofing holds a majority of the steel to protect my vital organs. Over and over the Cardinal Risi beat me, forcing blood out of my mouth. "Kronklik, don't," is all I manage to say as Kronklik comes from behind, driving his cane sword through the back of the one delivering the blows. At first the Cardinal Risi seems stunned, but recovers instantly, swooping its arm and backhanding Kronklik's chest, sending him clean through a stone pillar. Immediately the integrity of the mausoleum responds, breaking away from parts of its roof, smashing onto the floor. The impact is startling, shaking the earth beneath and knocking everyone to the ground. Before there is a chance for me to retaliate, the Cardinal Risi dart away. I let loose my bawaka, and it spins away in a frenzy, making contact with one of them, only to be battered away like a toy. Blended from a mixture of silver and steel, I am at a loss to find it useless. A blade folded more than 300 times. How can it be? My weapon has destroyed countless vampires. Maybe its sacred power has vanished along with my faith. My attention goes to Kronklik lying in a pile of stone and dust. He isn't moving. "Kronklik!" I yell. There is no response. As I make my way to him, one of the fire urns tips over, gushing forth its burning liquid, separating me from him. A loud voice calls out over cracking walls and roaring flames. "So this is what it's come down to," Bronin says, emerging from behind the smoldering urn. The dagger used to stab me is in his hand, and in the other a flask of holy fire. Through the blazing embers of red and orange, Bronin's blue eyes glare at me with a desire I've never seen before, a hunger for power, and I am his gateway to immortality. The blood in my veins is the key to it all. I watch him step away from the urn, never taking his eyes off of me. You cannot comprehend the trouble it took me to get you here, he says, hopping down from one stone to the next. He points the knife at me. I will have your blood. Anticipating his next move, I dart forward, but instantly I'm thwarted. His flask misses my face, exploding on the ground near my boots. Jumping back, I am trapped in a ring of fire. Bronin jumps down into the circle with me, and there is nowhere to go. We begin circling each other, and I cannot tell what he will do next. Another flask is in his hand that could destroy us both. A little assurance you will cooperate, Bronin says, shaking the flask with his fingers. My hand instinctively passes over the buaka. My fingers caress the grooves of the leather cross handle. Seems you have a death wish, says Bronin. Have you strayed so far from God, Tenor? One as obedient as you? Even your one redeeming quality has seemed to elude you. Bronin's words are convoluting. It is hard for me to concentrate. My thoughts are still overcome by the betrayal and the lies. I see Kronklik stirring from the corner of my eye, but I dare not look. Father, comes a voice, so dearly missed I've almost forgotten what it sounds like. I turn my head to see Dorian carried from the stone altar over one of the Colonel Reese's shoulder. He reaches out his hand toward me. Dorian, I cry out. Bronin leaps for me, knife aimed at my throat. Distracted only for a second, I wait for the knife to plunge past my proofing and serrate my flesh. Instead, Bronin is sent crumpling to the ground. With a bolt stuck in his leg and blood gushing profusely, he clutches at it, screaming in agony. I see Kronklik leaning against a rock, crossbow in hand. A loud cracking sound issues forward and the ground buckles as the broken column near the mausoleum. With the support of the chamber dwindling, other columns begin snapping at their foundations, stone turning in on itself, exploding in multiple directions. A massive void opens in the ground, swallowing everything in its path. Trapped between burning oil and crumbling earth, there is little room for escape. I manage to see the golden locks of Dorian's hair one last time before sliding down into the dark hole that consumes everything around me. My son, I'm sorry. I have failed you and your mother. I remember what she said to me when I saw her last. I had to save you, Dorian. It was my intent from the beginning. I swear it. Darkness is closing around me. I remember the day before all this madness began, watching Dorian with Diana in the courtyard, my sun and moon, and I as the earth, watching from the window. Together, so loving, so innocent. With the moon losing orbit and the sun fading, the earth becomes a distant memory. Rock and dirt suffocate me as I am swallowed in the avalanche, fire from the burning oil splashing all around me. In a matter of seconds, I am delivered to the depths of hell, where I know judgment awaits me, my new life, and eternal damnation.